We were outside in the mountains always on the weekends and so on. It's important to have fun.
You won't believe what happened during Laura Dahlmeier's funeral, a moment so powerful, so utterly heartbreaking, that it left the entire world speechless. Her mother's tribute, absolutely stunning. Not just words, but emotion poured into every syllable. A message of love, loss, and legacy that resonated far beyond the walls of the small mountain chapel where it all took place. Fans across the world were stunned when news broke that Laura Dahlmeier, the biathlon legend, Olympic gold medalist, national hero, was gone. Still so young, still so vibrant, still so connected to the people who adored her, cheered for her, and watched her carve her name into winter sports history. The outpouring of grief was instant. Tributes flooded in from teammates, rivals, politicians, and millions of fans who had followed her every race. But nothing, and we mean nothing, could prepare anyone for the words her mother spoke on that cold, quiet day. The mountains stood still, snowflakes fell like feathers from the sky, and inside that small chapel in Garmisch-Partenkirchen, there was only silence until her mother rose, walked to the front, and began to speak. Stay with us as we bring you every moment, every tear, and every word that made this tribute unforgettable. Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because this isn't just a story of an athlete, this is a story of a daughter, a family, and the unbreakable bond between a mother and child, even after death. The room was filled with white flowers, roses, lilies, delicate alpine blooms, a tribute to Laura's love of nature. Her skis, now resting gently against the altar, painted a haunting picture of everything she stood for. Her teammates sat together, heads bowed, shoulders touching for comfort, and among them, her closest friends' faces frozen in disbelief. When her mother stepped up to speak, the chapel seemed to stop breathing. She wore a simple black dress, no makeup, her eyes red but clear. Her voice, though trembling, was calm. "I never imagined I'd be standing here," she began. "Not for my daughter, not for my Laura." She paused. She was the wind, the mountains, the snow. She belonged to this land, and to all of you. People wept openly. Even seasoned journalists lowered their cameras. What followed was a letter she had written to Laura, a goodbye, a thank you, and a celebration of everything her daughter had meant to the world. "You never stopped chasing the finish line, Laura. Even as a child, you were always running, always dreaming, always looking for the next trail, the next peak, the next race. But you never ran from love, never ran from responsibility. You faced every challenge with that same smile, that same fire." The letter continued, describing Laura's childhood, how she built ski tracks in the backyard, how she trained in silence, never craving fame, just focused on excellence. "She taught me more in her 25 years than I've learned in my entire life," her mother said. "She taught me courage. She taught me balance. She taught me what it means to live, truly live." At one point, she paused to compose herself, holding a photo of Laura as a child. "And now, you've crossed a finish line none of us were ready for." The silence that followed felt eternal. Then came the most powerful moment of all. Her mother looked up, directly into the eyes of the crowd, and said, "I don't want you to remember how she died. I want you to remember how she lived. I want you to remember the sparkle in her eyes when she saw fresh snow. The way she hugged you when you were sad. The way she believed in the impossible. Because that is who she truly was." And then she whispered, "Auf Wiedersehen, mein Kind." A string quartet began to play. The music echoed off the wooden beams of the chapel. People stood. Some held each other. Some whispered prayers. Others simply stared at the coffin, draped in the German flag, with a single biathlon medal resting on top. Outside, fans had gathered in the thousands. Many watched the service on large screens. Some brought candles. Others brought skis, helmets, posters, and handwritten letters. Entire sections of the crowd sang, not with joy, but with reverence. A national moment of mourning. Athletes from around the world sent messages. Some flew in just to be there. Olympic teammates spoke quietly to reporters, all expressing the same sentiment, that Laura was not just a champion, but a light, a rare, untouchable soul. "I raced with her, and against her," one teammate said, "and I never beat her. But that's not what hurts. What hurts is that I'll never see her smile again." After the ceremony, her coffin was carried by her closest friends and coaches. The walk from the chapel to the cemetery was long, winding through the snowy path she once trained on. It was a final lap. a final trail. Her mother walked just behind, holding her daughter's childhood stuffed animal, a small fox worn and faded but filled with stories. When they reached the burial site, the priest said Laura was a gift, not just to Germany, not just to sports, but to humanity. As they lowered her into the ground, snow began to fall again. Her mother placed the fox beside the coffin. She never needed the world to notice her. She just wanted to be better every day. That was Laura. And with that, the service ended. But something bigger began. Across Germany and beyond, spontaneous memorials appeared, candles lit on mountaintops, children writing her name in the snow, local ski teams wearing black bands in her memory. Her hometown renamed the local training center in her honor. Online, fans shared stories. How she inspired them. How she gave them hope. How her humility changed the way they saw athletes. One fan wrote, "She made me believe I could keep going, even when everything in me wanted to stop." And maybe that's Laura's legacy. Not medals, not victories, but the ability to give people hope. Her mother has since launched a foundation, the Laura Light Fund, dedicated to supporting young female athletes who face barriers in sports. "This is what Laura would have wanted," she said in a press release. Not attention, not trophies, but impact. As time moves on, her memory remains sharp, engraved not just on stone, but in hearts. To Laura Dahlmeier, thank you for your light, thank you for your fight, and thank you for reminding the world that even the shortest lives can burn the brightest. If this tribute touched you, please comment below, share your favorite Laura moment, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a story that matters, because this wasn't just a funeral, it was a beginning of a legacy that will never fade. Rest in peace, Laura. The world remembers.